If you track with the channel, you know we're always on the lookout for games that have got an unusual edge or are good to play together in the family, or maybe are a bit quirky or involve the imagination. Well, Biomutant is a game that includes all these different facets. So we're excited when THQ offered to sponsor this video and we got to play Biomutant early as well. But it's a game that's kind of difficult to explain. It's quirky in all the right ways. It's kind of expansive like Zelda. It has a kind of a tactical, political aspect, like some of the Lord of the Rings games. It has a combat that's much more kind of full-on and sort of wholehearted, the boys have loved. And the weapons don't break if you use them too much. And then it has the kind of the sense of fairy tale and fable and consequence of your actions, like the Fable games that I played when I was younger. So things kick off as you are creating your character. And at first it feels like they're all going to look relatively similar. We're used to these kind of character creations and really don't have that much control. But here, as you can see, you pick your kind of breed of animal, but then move on to almost every aspect of it, like how big, how small, the different features, the different sizing, even the colour and the formation of fur. But then you move into actually what are your abilities? How are you going to play this game? And we took a lot of time with this actually, and just trying to hone in, well, what does each of the members of our family want to play this like? And we played it on PC here and also on PlayStation 5. So we had this kind of dual track running where we could see, you know, how the game developed differently. And that development is quite different because as you go into the game world, which is huge, you start to encounter 6 enemy tribes. Now 3 of these are kind of on the white or the good side and 3 are on black or on the bad side. And you have to decide which ones you're going to fight and which ones you're going to support. And they each have a different ethos of how they're going to resolve the world. And there's a huge tree in the middle. Now, should everyone come back to harmony, like the white tribes, or should everyone fight and the sort of the last man standing will be the winner? So you have this big kind of epic, grandiose story, but it's kind of offset with moments like this where our little character, to unlock the world, comes along and pees on these signposts to mark his territory and to find more of the map. So it's this really lovely kind of quirky, kind of crafted space, but that still wants to hold on to that sort of sense of epicness and adventure. And I have to say, as a family, we have really enjoyed this so far. And what was nice is it's not just all about fighting, rushing in, all guns blazing, but you do have to make choices. And as you interact with the civilians, as you can see here, you can choose to brighten or darken the world and to go on your way. So there's a real sense that you're impacting the environment and you're kind of role-playing to investigate all the different stuff that's hidden to discover in the world. And what I liked about that openness in the family is we had to work out where to go. You can hear us talking here in the background. Are we heading in the right direction? You know, what's our next strategy? Are we going to do some side missions next? Are we going to proceed with the main story? So there was that nice kind of back and forth in the room as well as what was on the screen, which I think just worked really well in our family. Of course, as you explore, you do encounter combat, you do encounter fighting, and the different tribes are warring with each other as well. And as you can see here, you can get involved in those fights and help them resolve. And as you do that, you build up experience. You can also get equipment, and there's a whole crafting element to the game as well. We're just sort of scraping the surface with that. But as you level up, you get to choose again how your character develops. And again, it's a nice kind of permanent upgrade. In the same way as you're crafting weapons, they're permanently yours, they don't break. We quite like that kind of sense of that there's that frustration that sometimes we had with Zelda Breath of the Wild, that we'd get this great thing and then it would break and then we'd have to go and find it again. But here, the progression feels much more in one direction. I think for a younger audience, particularly kids playing the game, that works really well. So we're just starting to get a feel for how fully populated the world is as we push into it. But already, you know, we've got different ages in our house. My younger son's 12, our older son here is 16, and there's certainly enough to keep them engaged. We've come across puzzles, we've come across battles like this, where you really have to pay attention, and the sense of atmosphere as you go underground, the kind of your breath quickens as you kind of what's around this corner. It has a nice sense of kind of excitement to it, and it's a game that on weekends when we've wanted to play together as a family, it's the game we've turned to, and at the moment it's kind of eclipsing a lot of other titles that the boys would usually play. So if you're looking for a new game, if you enjoyed games like Zelda but also the kind of quirkiness of something like Kung Fu Panda, if you want that kind of branching political story a bit like the Fable games, then I would really check out Biomutant. It wasn't on our radar before we started working with THQ on this video, but we're really glad we did, because it's a game that we've got a lot out of, but it feels like there's a lot more to experience. So there you go, that's our kind of early look at Biomutant, and we'll be back with more videos looking at how the experience holds up as we play it for longer in the family.